Hey everybody, Hooligan Actual here. Thank you for watching. Now this subject, it tends to get people's heckles up as soon as you say it. Abortion. Both sides claim the moral high ground for different reasons and brand themselves as such. Pro-life, pro-choice. Nobody wants to be pro-death or anti-choice. It's clever branding, it's smart. Now, for the next bit, I'm not gonna lie to you. I dislike children. They're loud, they're messy, they're smelly and irritating. I struggle to find a single redeeming quality. Except that they are the future of the human race. It's important. Now this video is actually in response to the recent legislation in Texas requiring fetal remains to be buried or cremated, and the Ohio legislation attempting to criminalize abortion after 6 weeks. So on to the argument. When does life begin? That's a hell of an argument, and something very difficult to prove either way. Extremes claim conception or birth as the only solid foundations for when life begins. Others say heartbeat or brain waves, but the jury's still out on the science of that. It's largely irrelevant, though, considering the concept of bodily autonomy, your most basic human right. Now, to clarify, bodily autonomy is the concept that you, and only you, have control over what or whom uses your body. This is one of the reasons rape is so deplorable, and it's why no one can use your blood, tissue, or organs, even if you're dead, without your express consent. It's a fairly simple concept. If nothing else, you own your body. Now we get to the meat of it. Whether a fetus is alive or not, whether it has a soul or not, whether it is a person or not, it is dependent on using the mother's body. It is, by definition, a parasite. It uses the bodily resources and it hurts the body of the mother, giving nothing in return as a symbiote would. So if the mother chooses to no longer be the host, then she must be allowed that bodily autonomy. Anything else is a violation of her basic human right to own her own body. Now, if you want to take that away, you have to remember that this is still a right we give to corpses. That's why you have to sign up to be an organ donor. So that's saying, if you don't think a woman has the right to an abortion, you're saying that a dead person has more rights than a mother. Now, you might say, what about the fetus's rights? Now, it has a right to live, right? Sure. Well, so do many people on the waiting list for a kidney transplant. What they don't have is the right to take your kidney in order to live. So let's explore some common pro-life arguments. She should have kept her legs shut if she didn't want a baby. This is the argument that any woman who has sex is taking on the risk of having a baby. It leaves out the man as an equally responsible party, and it also ignores the basic human need for sexual satisfaction. It's an argument from religious rhetoric, and it is intended as a shame tactic. In addition, it ignores the very real truth that many women who get an abortion do not do it because they don't want the baby anymore. Abortion is a hard decision for these women, and the reasons for making it are as numerous and diverse as the women who get them. Rape and incest are the least controversial. Broken homes, financial or job instability, age of the parents, disease and drug use are a few more. In the end, though, abstinence simply isn't going to happen on a large scale, and it's ridiculous to think it would or even should. She should have used birth control. Many of the women who get early term abortions had used birth control. No birth control method is 100% effective, so this argument is pretty much invalid. Even used in conjunction, as small of a possibility as it might be, sex happens often enough that failures still must happen from time to time. If you don't want the baby, just give birth and put him or her up for adoption. So for 9 months, a woman must endure pain, sickness, need additional nutrients and food, just to give birth to an unwanted child who, statistically, will likely end up as a drug abuser, criminal, or suicide victim. Why is a terrible life so much better than not having one at all? This argument would hold a lot more water if the pro-life folks would adopt more instead of pumping out baby after baby. Families with 10 children? Really? This brings me to my next point. Overpopulation. The foster care system in America is already packed to the gills with children. We have thousands of homeless, thousands of jobless, and thousands of working poor. Why is it so damn vital to add one more person to the mix? And that's the thing, it isn't just one more. Center for Disease Control, morbidity and mortality report shows that in 2012, 699,202 abortions were reported. Outlawing abortion would add hundreds of thousands of people more each year. Well, that's assuming that everyone would just give up on the idea of having an abortion if it was illegal, which, spoiler alert, they wouldn't. This brings us back to the days of wire coat hangers, dangerous back alley abortions, or quack job doctors doing abortion house calls. What the pro-lifers are doing is simply making already difficult decision of ending a pregnancy dangerous. Next argument I'll tackle is late-term abortion. Now, if you're going to have an abortion or you don't want a baby, why wait 6 months of miserable conditions just to give up on it? Abortions after 13 weeks constituted less than 9% of abortions in 2012. According to the aforementioned CDC report. That's anything after the first week of the second trimester. 1.3% happened after 21 weeks. It's almost statistically insignificant. So, why did they happen? Usually a late-term abortion is pursued because of a genetic defect, a disease, a condition that hadn't been noticed before causing a danger to the mother, or a short, painful existence for the baby after it's born. Late-term abortions are nearly always pursued in order to save life or to prevent agony. No one's carrying a baby for 8 months, enduring the hardship, pain, and inability to work just to say, you know what, never mind. It's an absurd notion that some of these pro-lifers seem to have. So, onto the burying the fetus, cremating the remains. Honestly, this one seems more like a PR stunt than anything else. Medical waste, whether you call it a person or not, needs to be handled properly. That being said, cremating or burning the remains is already pretty par for the course in hospitals and clinics around the country. Now, if there was some required ceremony to go along with it, that would be cause for serious concern. That would be more along the lines of a First Amendment, freedom of religion kind of issue. Freedom of, freedom from. But as it stands, this law is kind of just a dispose of your medical waste properly thing. With a, hey look, I'm doing something for my religious constituent sort of costume on it. Alright, so in closing, abortion after the 13th week is exceedingly rare. Birth control is not 100% effective. You own your own body. You can still think abortion is wrong, just stop trying to make it illegal. It won't do what you think it will. Alright, if you like what I'm doing, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't like it, you can still rate, leave a comment as to why. I'll try to respond to it. And, well, if you don't like me, I guess you shouldn't subscribe. But check out my other videos here and here. And I guess that's it. Hooligan Actual out.